This video was brought to you in part by the supporters of the AMTV Patreon. Thank you. Good evening, and welcome back after long last to After These Messages, a series where we take a look at adverts from days gone by and see what impact they have on us today. Will they make us laugh, smile, cringe, maybe even cry? Well, that's what we're going to find out. For today's episode though, we're having a bumper part extravaganza, and we're going with a bit of a theme. I'm sure by now you've realised I'm quite a big fan of this little science fiction show. It's quite unknown really, it's called... Well, it was going to happen eventually, wasn't it? But today I'm going to be looking at a series of adverts that in some shape or form have a Doctor Who connection. Specifically, I'll be drawing on this ace little compilation from the TV Museum, titled as The Ad Break of Death. Nice touch, guys. So without further ado, let's have a look at the first of these ads.
The TARDIS, 10 million light-years per unit of Artron energy. The new Honda C50, 209 miles per gallon of petrol.
Well, that was short and sweet. To be fair though, I suppose it gets across the intended effect. Showing the science fiction fuel source of the TARDIS to then compare with one of their latest motorbikes, yeah, it's a neat idea. The science fiction and science fact motif is a cheeky little inclusion too, and considering this is a very short advert for a vehicle company, they actually include the term Artron energy when referring to the TARDIS. Someone had clearly done their research. But when you break it down, the fact that the only thing the continuity announcer says is the fuel levels of the TARDIS and the bike is pretty ballsy for Honda. Attempting to sell consumers your new product purely on how many miles it can achieve per gallon? Oh, if only all vehicle ads were that short and swift. Finally, that police box prop is pretty nice. It doesn't look like the one seen in the show at the time, so I'd be curious to learn if it was an original build for this ad or if it was borrowed from the props department somewhere. Anyhow, let's move along to our next advert of the day.
Kitty Cat Supreme, high in protein.
Kitty Cat,
To satisfy a cat's appetite for life.
high protein Kitty Cat.
You couldn't have a fitter cat.
Without any context, you can easily tell what era this comes from. The main giveaway being the pumping music. The sort of pop rock sound was becoming so common in the late 80s, and quite right too because it's a brilliant genre. However, whilst the song may be memorable, it does feel a tad bit stock. That could just be the retrospective angle I'm taking with it, but let's put it this way. If Kitty Cat released this as a vinyl single back in the day, I don't think it would find its way into the charts. Our Doctor Who link here is Mary Tam, who played the first incarnation of Time Lady Romana in season 16 of the show, the Keats Time season. Sadly, she isn't given a great deal to do here, aside from smiling at her very energetic cat and making sure that it's well fed. I've seen many an ad for cat food in my time, and sad to say this one is a little lackluster, even for the 80s. Also, bit cheeky how the company made the E on their cans red, so the words kit and cat stand out. Get it? Kit Kat, the popular snack?
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Peace and love.
Frustrating, isn't it? When you need an any-purpose loan but don't know who to talk to about unlocking the capital tied up in your property. Even if you're self-employed, consider yourself to have a low credit rating, divorced, or retired. Don't worry, because Ocean Finance hold the key. Call 0800 858 858 and Ocean could help you. Ocean loans can be used for any purpose, and all circumstances will be considered. You may wish to improve your home, or buy a newer car, or simply consolidate all your existing debts into just one manageable monthly payment. There are no interviews, no arrangement fees, and no salesperson will call. So for that homeowner loan, call now. You'll be under no obligation, and you could secure the loan you need. Call Ocean Finance now on 0800 858 858. That's 0800 858 858.
Ah, Fraser Hines, you lovable soul. It's fair to say that when you see Fraser in anything, it's always a positive experience. I must admit though, I never thought I'd see him try and sell me the idea of Ocean Finance. This ad on the whole for me does a great job at making its product sound really appealing, but I think it's a bit too long and for someone like me, a bit too info heavy. Don't get me wrong, most ads selling finance related stuff are like this, a lot of info to dump and to make it sound as appealing as possible, but saying that, it's somewhat visually appealing. I like the little Ocean Finance keycard and the blue tones of the number slide are quite warm to the eye. Fraser is such an easy person to listen to, no matter what he's talking about, and it's probably a reason as to why they chose him. Because, come on, let's face it, if you want to get hooked up with anyone, it's Fraser Hines. Actually, I was thinking of getting a loan to paint my house up, but for that I'll need...
Imagine a perfect white. Imagine a white that covers beautifully. Why imagine? ICI have created a white with molecules that lock together to bring you a perfect finish. The light up your life white of Dulux. Silk white, matte white. Trust Dulux to cover beautifully.
Oh, Liz Sladen, how we miss you. Since this ad comes from 1981, there's a part of me screaming internally that they missed an opportunity to throw K9 into this as well, instead of the actual dog that we see. Then I remember K9 & Company went out in the last few days of the year, so that probably wasn't even a passing thought to those making this. Also, is it just me, or does this ad seem a little bit counterproductive? Whilst the effect of the white paint smoothing over the surfaces is very visually appealing, the section where it covers up the spectacle and beauty of the outside world is a bit sad. Wherever Liz is, it looks beautiful. So having that view be covered up by a stream of sentient white paint actually wouldn't be out of place in a Doctor Who episode. Also, with children that young in the house, you just know that any white surface isn't going to stay white for very long. I see what that child's thinking, secretly scheming with the dog to make the place as untidy as possible. That's the real picture here. But I digress, as with a new home being done up, you're going to need your fair share of electronics. So for that, we call upon...
At 2000 hours GMT. North Tyne Dogger, easterly 506, increasing locally 7, becoming variable. White, Humber, Thames, southeast, veering west, 5, occasionally 6, slight drizzle, 7 miles. Visibility improving.
Give a little more with a Phillips gift.
Was anyone else's first thought, oh my god, it's Horror of Fang Rock? Wait, just me? Yeah, I thought so. Anyhow, our scene is a dark and stormy night, and at a lighthouse the guardsman is having a little break. Of course he is played by the wonderful Ian Martyn, who played Harry Sullivan between 1974 and 75. Martyn's presence is so good here, because even though he doesn't say a single word, his expressions and interactions with the various gadgets sell it to us as an audience completely. Also, the bit where he puts his cap back on, he practically looks just as he did in his Harry Sullivan days. It's honestly brilliant. I wonder if the team working on this knew of his time on Who, or if the look was just some mad coincidence. In any case, I can totally see Harry in his later years head to a lighthouse to take up a post there. In terms of the products themselves, whoa! A can opener, a corkscrew, coffee machines, oh my god, buy it all now! Wait, hang on. From around 11 to 30 pounds, get out of here, Phillips. Nice touch at the end with the thanks love message too. All in all, it's a nice little ad featuring one of the warmest souls on telly. And may he rest peacefully. Our next ad takes us overseas, but we need to pick an airline to travel with.
The journey down to Australia can be rather a long haul. Can we see her?
Not yet. Mind you, she's out there dinner.
So we've introduced the Singapore stopover. You get to break your trip and relax in a first-class hotel.
I suppose you got the day right.
Of course I did. I'm not stupid.
You get to do a bit of shopping, maybe take in a few of the sights. Get into the swing of things.
Little ladies don't just disappear in mid-air, Jeffrey.
Certainly not grand. She's hardly the adventurous type, is she?
You can try exotic dishes, make new friends, and meet the locals.
Wayne, come along now. We're going home.
The Singapore stopover from £8 to £16 a night. Just don't forget to tell the folks.
I can't understand it. She's so reliable.
Ah, the days of travelling. God, I miss it. Our Doctor Who link is the instantly recognisable Katie Manning, who played Jo Grant in the early 70s. She's not in the ad all that much, as she plays part of a family awaiting the arrival of Gran in Australia. Trouble is, Gran's gone rogue and is actually living it up for a few days in Singapore. This ad was for Singapore Airlines, and it does a great job of enticing people to stop in the country that it's named after, on their journey to Australia. Having been born in Singapore and visiting it sometime since, I can say with experience that it truly is a beautiful country. Whilst having some recognisable traits we're used to here in the West, it's practically teeming with culture, lots of things to explore and see, and lots of new things for people to experience. The Singapore stopover may have been advertised here in 1987, but having done it myself in the early 2000s, I can say with great praise that it is a wonderful option for anyone to take up. I only wish the prices were as good as this ad makes out. From £8 to £16 per night in a first-class hotel, oi oi! Ugh, a man can dream, can't he? Whilst I'm sure me and any other Whovian would have liked to have seen Katie a bit more in this ad, the focus is on Singapore and how wonderful it is to visit. Some of the scenes they set seem a bit stereotypical by today's standards, but overall it does its job well. Reminds me of having dinner at some lovely restaurants out there. Oh, and speaking of restaurants, I know a way in which I can pay the bill.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Most enjoyable. That's no problem at all, but... I've lost my wallet. Morning Fresh.
That'll do nicely.
The super concentrated formula of Morning Fresh simply cuts through grease. It freshens your kitchen and lasts a long, long time.
What's all this?
Service charge.
Super concentrated Morning Fresh. Don't wash up without it.
So this is what the brig really did after Unit. We see the fabulous Nicholas Courtney play a waiter, who seems to be okay with accepting payment via washing up liquid? But only if the customers then come and clean up in the kitchens. Seems like a fair trade if you ask me. I must admit, as someone who wasn't around at the time, the first time I did watch this, I had no idea what Morning Fresh was, and to be honest, I thought he was offering him some sort of deodorant. You had to be there in 1990, I suppose. Still, it's nice to see Nick Courtney pop up, without his Briggs moustache too. Bear in mind this was only aired 1 year after his appearance in Battlefield, and yet to me he looks so much different. Also, the Brigadier running a restaurant, I'm absolutely here for this concept. We now move on to our penultimate ad of the day, and I think we need to stick with the culinary theme.
When I pay good money for saucepans, I expect them to last. Don't you? Now, Prestige Lifetime is guaranteed to last 10 years. And that means thousands of hours on your cooker and a lot of time in the washing up. That's why only Prestige Lifetime have thicker stainless steel bodies, solid copper bottoms, and real teak handles. Excuse me.
You can put the dinner on. I'll be home in 20 minutes.
For looks that last, it's Lifetime. Only from Prestige.
Who knew kitchen essentials could be so appealing? Peter Davison was still playing the Fifth Doctor when this went out in 1983, so hearing him cheerfully chirp about the pros and cons of different pans is very amusing. Also, the sci-fi nod at the end, I reckon this partly has to link with him being Doctor Who at the time. Also, doesn't it just make you laugh how they thought 1993 would look? Futuristic landscapes, all metallic kitchens and outfits that are, interesting. But hey, back in 83, maybe this was what people were hoping for. Of course, Risk Communicators did sort of happen, eventually, and we even get a cameo from Peter's then wife at the time, Sandra Dickinson. I'm always a bit funny with lifetime guarantees for any product. Like, yeah, sure, it's meant to last 10 years, but they haven't tested it for 10 years to find out, surely. I know I'm nitpicking, but I get that thought every time a lifetime warrant is thrown in my face. If anyone has a prestige pan from 1983 that is still in good condition and has been used for the equivalent of 10 years or more, let me know. But now we've reached our final ad for the day, and this time the central focus is indeed around Doctor Who.
Time is running out.
The destiny of the Doctors is in your hands.
In a game like nothing on Earth, with old enemies and new riddles.
You will be exterminated.
Doctor Who, Destiny of the Doctors. Out now on PC CD-ROM. It was only a question of time.
Oh boy, those PC games, am I right? For those who don't know, Destiny of the Doctors was a PC game released in December of 1997. The first question you may have is, why is Paul McGann's 8th Doctor not in this advert? I believe that by the time the TV movie came along in May of 1996, development on the game was already so far along that they couldn't include him. But yet, the box still features the McGann era logo, so who knows really. It's fair to say that by today's standards, the game looks visually appalling. But remember, back in 1997, 3D gaming was still coming into its own, and there were many games at the time that looked even worse than this. And whilst it is mainly remembered for being the last appearance of Anthony Ainley as the Master, it's probably best that the game itself remain mostly forgotten to the deeper mechanisms of time. Also, £29.99? Ugh, I feel sorry for anyone who spent all their hard-safe pocket money on this. And that, dear viewers, is all the ads we'll be looking at today. I hope you enjoyed going back through these little nuggets of nostalgia and the various Doctor Who links that came with them. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Doctor Who and nostalgic TV content. And if you want to see part 2 of this little marathon, you can by heading over to our Patreon and pledging as little as £1 a month. But until then, I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV, and until the next one, I'll see you
after these messages. We'll be right back.
Good night.